All right, buddy, here we go. We're talking about recovering back from an Achilles injury. So, job one, you should be able to very easily, knees straight, reach down and touch your toes. If you don't have that, you have abnormal tension in your posterior chain, which your Achilles is a part of, and that's a risk factor. So, normalize that, okay? Thing number two, get a ball like a lacrosse ball, put it between your heels and squeeze it. I'm going to show you my backside. Don't take this too personally. All right, so now I've got the ball between my heels. I'm squeezing it, and I'm going to come up and down onto my tiptoes while I'm squeezing that ball. You should be able to do 100 of those. The next thing we need to understand is that everything you're going to do to begin with, I'd recommend you do with shoes on and on a firm surface. You're going to progress to doing all the same things, barefoot and eventually to softer surfaces. You live in California, the beach is not far, so all of this stuff can be done at the beach eventually, but the issue with the beach is that your feet will support your body weight in the sand. Your heel will drop into the sand. That's going to tension the Achilles, and that's the last thing you're going to be proven to be ready for. As an example, whenever there is a new field, particularly in NFL, where the padding in the artificial turf hadn't compacted, the rate of Achilles tears went straight up. And so it's because the weight of the player's heel went into the pad, the toe was supported, and the Achilles it snapped. So we can't have that. So we're gonna make sure that we go with shoes first, then barefoot, starting on supportive surfaces, then progress to the beach. And doing all these things on the beach is gonna be good for you. It's something you shouldn't be afraid of, but just make sure that you're prepared for. Let me show you some cool stuff. Because we're starting with dynamic things, we wanna make it easiest on the Achilles by doing it bilaterally. So what I'm gonna be doing is simply this. So straight up, straight down, then forward and backward, then side to side, and then twisty. And the reason we do that is there's 3 planes of motion. We're going to work on all 3. And again, we have the dynamic component, which is an additional challenge, but we're still putting the weight through both feet at the same time. The progression of that would be very similar with doing stuff like this. Okay, so 2 feet, but the 2 feet working relatively independently of one another. Let me show you some other ones that I like that I think you'll be able to see. Going to a high school track is nice, or if you just have a line or even imaginary line. I've got the bricks here that create a line, but I think, we all know what a line is, so you can kind of make one up in your head. But imagine there's a line there. I'm gonna have my right foot on one side of the line and my left foot on the other, and then I'll go back and forth. But where it gets more fun is I go back and forth down the line and then back and forth back. So that's kind of fun to do it like that. I can do the same thing with double-legged and go double-legged on other side of the line, down the line, and back. And I can go the side to side on other side of the line, but down the line, and then back, right? So you can do all these sort of creative things, but the idea is that you're having a progression with the concept. So we're being dynamic. We're doing it with just body weight, no external load yet, but we're gonna work in all 3 planes. Another one I really like is if you have a small box or a small step. This is 6 inches in height. I usually start people on either 4 or 6 based on their athleticism and their strength and all that. I kind of make a judgment call. I will on occasion go higher. You can go with a higher. I've never gone higher than 12 inches, just for somebody who wanted a challenge. But you start with 1 foot on the box, 1 foot off the box. You then do that. So it's back and forth. The cue is for quick, quiet feet. Now this is on a slightly uneven surface, so you're hearing it probably a little bit coming through the video, but generally speaking, you should be quiet. What you don't want to hear is that stomping kind of a sound. So you're a cat, you're a ninja, like so. The thing that people will do wrong is where they stay centered over it and they move their feet really fast. So I'll show you what wrong looks like, then I'll go back to showing you right. This is wrong. So my body weight stayed centered over the box, my feet were going back and forth. It's a tiring drill, but it's not what we're looking for. We want the weight shift. We want to train, load, give it away, come come over here, load, land and load, land and load, land and load, with back and forth, okay? Now we'll also do it forward and backward in this fashion. So again, one foot starts off, one foot starts on. Mentally, this is weird because you can't see behind you, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to use your kinesthetic awareness, keep your eyes forward, and if you want to just sort of feel it out like that first, I'm totally cool with that, but eventually you want to get to where you can do that. You just do this jump, and you know where your body is in space, and you're just hip hopping back. Again, lots of load on the Achilles, forcing it to be a spring once again. Now, with the injured, I don't remember which side was injured, but if the injured leg is in front, it's a different experience than when the injured leg is in back, so you need to do it both ways. But the exercise is the same. And that's a really nice way, and you can do that with weights in your hands if you feel like you want to load it more, not huge ones like 10s, but you feel it. And so that little bit of extra is a nice challenge too. And then the next thing I'll show you is the last thing I would do before you run. It's called bounding. I call it bounding with a stick. It's not a physical stick, it just means stick the landing. Let me show you. Okay, with bounding with a stick, this is kind of one of my last sort of pre-running sort of drills I have people do. And what we're gonna do is you're gonna have yourself balancing on one leg. And then you're gonna bound, which basically means to take off and land on the other side. So just as an FYI, this two legs to two legs is jumping, one leg to the same leg is hopping, one leg to the other leg is bounding. And bounding is essentially, or running rather, is essentially bounding in succession. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna get our balance on one side, take off, land, stick the landing. If you're wobbling, I don't want you to stop wobbling until you own it. So what people do is they're like, oh shoot, I lost my balance, so they stop. There's value in the fight. So I'll be here, solid. That's what we're looking for. But if it was off, I would wait until I'm solid like that before I end that rep. Does that make sense? And then obviously both legs, take off and land to the other one, and just look to have solid landings. That's one plane of motion. You already know there's three. So let's go to plane number two. This is sideways. So I'll have my balance here. Now I'm solid. Going the other way, get my balance here. Bad rep, but you get the idea, okay? Rotational. This is the one, if people ever make a mistake, it's in the rotational one. The idea is that you're pushing off and turning at the same time so that when you land, you have rotational momentum that you have to overcome. When people cheat, what they do with this one is they jump up in the air, spin in the air, and drop straight down. So they're basically just doing a same version of the first one. It's not what we want. So I'll be here. Now I'm solid, and I'll go on. Go on the other side. I'm here. Right leg's now stepping up. You get the idea, right? I don't do huge numbers of these because they're pretty tiring. Maybe 10 per, so that's 30 each of that. But when you can nail it, forward, either leg, laterally, either leg, rotationally, either leg, then that's when I'd start saying, hey, let's go for a run. I would start on a solid surface. I would start with shoes. And then as that goes, you can go to softer surface. And as that goes, you can try running barefoot. But that's the progression I go. If you have any specific questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to help you. Good luck, buddy. Bye-bye.